On New Year's Eve 2023, Sue, Cassie, and I left to escape the Ohio winters for a little over 2 months. We returned on March 7, 2024. We traveled over 3,100 miles down to Florida and back. We had many stops across much of Florida, including Central Florida, the Keys, the Central Gulf Coast, the Central Atlantic Coast, Walt Disney World's Fort Wilderness Campground, and the Northern Atlantic Coast. All of our stops were at Florida state parks with the exception of our stop at Disney World to meet our son Chris, his wife Amy, and our favorite 4-year-old grandson Drew. We are chronicling our trip to Florida in a series of videos. This video, part 1, provides the highlights of the first leg of our trip, leaving Ohio and traveling to our first stop in Florida, Blue Springs State Park. We took 3 days to get to Blue Springs State Park, including overnight stops at the Sweetwater KOA in Sweetwater, Tennessee, and the Cordell KOA in Cordell, Georgia, before arriving at Blue Springs State Park on the 3rd day. Our plan was to stay at Blue Springs State Park for 3 nights to rest and recover from the over 1,000-mile journey before heading further south to the Florida Keys. The land that is now Blue Springs State Park was originally purchased in 1856 by Lewis Thursby, a gold rush prospector turned orange grower. Before the railroad rolled through in the 1880s, Thursby's Blue Spring Landing was a hotbed of steamboat activity, shipping tourists and goods to Jacksonville and beyond. The Thursby House, built in 1872, remains today at the Blue Springs State Park. The Forgotten Mermaids, an episode of the underwater world of Jacques Cousteau, was filmed at Blue Spring in 1971. The documentary brought attention to the manatee and the importance of Blue Spring as a winter refuge, greatly influencing the state's decision to purchase the land in 1972. There were 14 manatees tracked at the spring in 1972 when the park opened. By 2005, after years of park improvements and manatee protection efforts, wintering manatee numbers exceeded 200. On January 2, 2024, the day we arrived, over 750 manatee were counted at the spring, a new record. It was amazing to see so many manatee. Sue, Cassie, and I enjoyed the hike from the campground and then walking along the well-developed paths next to the spring. We stopped at many decks and overlooks available to observe the manatee. There were many babies and young manatees swimming right beside their moms. There were also several species of fish, large and small, that were enjoying the warm water. What a wonderful experience seeing hundreds of manatees hanging out in the spring, as well as swimming out into the St. Johns River for their afternoon feedings.
got me breathing underwater. Baby, when you're around, oh, I can do anything. It's like you gave me superpowers. I'm on top of the world when I call you my girl. My heart's racing. I can't lie, I'm into you. I can't hide from the truth. Caught my eye, pull me closer. I can't lie, I'm into you. I can't hide from the truth. Caught my eye, pull me closer.
The next day we got up and again explored the spring. Winter is perfect for observing the manatees and other wildlife at Blue Spring State Park. Sue and I decided to take a 2-hour nature and ecological boat tour of the St. Johns River through Blue Spring Adventures. We hope to see additional wildlife beyond the manatees. The boat tour did not disappoint. We had a great guide who provided narration throughout the tour, including the history of the St. Johns River and the manatee. He also talked about the vegetation and the variety of wildlife we saw from the boat. The birds were plentiful, and Sue captured some great photos, including birds that we had never seen before.
All right, so manatees are mammals, which means they breathe air. So he can't stay like that. He's got to come up and take a breath. He can hold his breath as long as 20 minutes.
All you know is all a lie, all caught up in paradise, running away from everything real, everything that hurts to feel.
But it's a protected tree, and if you look closely at those trees around the base, you see all these little points of wood sticking up. Those points of wood are called cypress knees, and they're part of the above-ground root system for the tree.
All along you thought that you were better off.
This is a snowy egret. Snowy egrets have the reputation of riding the backs of manatees when they're feeding. Now, why do they ride the backs of manatees when they're feeding? When manatees are feeding, they're disturbing the vegetation. Living in the vegetation are all kinds of beetles and insects and food sources for the birds. There's a lot of food in the vegetation, and the birds are constantly pecking at the vegetation, catching these little critters. And the manatees. This looks like another snowy, but I'm having a hard time seeing the beak.
Yeah, it's black.
It's black, right? Yeah, that's another snowy. Check real close down at the bottom, you see the yellow feet. And now you get a better look at the pattern again on the back of the anhingas.
All you do is bury your head, you know you might as well be dead. But once you find the good, you'll learn to take the bad when it's your turn. All along you thought that you were better off.
We've got some ibis here again, right here in the front, in the water.
Yeah.
One further back.
Fool, it's getting old.
Alligators grow about a foot a year for the first 7 years. The lumpkins love them. They actually punch a hole behind the snail, in the space behind the snail, to allow air in. That way the snail can't create a vacuum and hold on to the shell. And they just
Oh, he flew away.
He's gone.
okay?
He's gone.
Ooh, that was close.
All along you thought that you were better off if all you knew was gold. All along you've been a fool, and it's getting old.
Blue Springs State Park was a great way to start our winter trip to Florida. The campground was great, Sue captured some great photos of birds, and of course we are thankful for our fortunate timing to see hundreds of manatees, including juveniles and babies, wintering in the 72-degree spring water. This park is definitely on our list to return to in future winters, but now it's time to leave and head down to even warmer weather in the Keys.